Hey friends, it's Jeannie, and I am back today to share 3 cards with you using Trinity Stamp's Wallflower stamp set. As you can see from the preview, I didn't do much of any coloring at all. So this stamp set is a ton of florals and a bunch of leaves and 2 small sentiments, which I removed before adhering to my Misti. I put in the entire stamp set and stamped as is because I thought it would be the easiest to do that. I'll be stamping these a ton of times, and a bunch of extra leaves will be also stamped out. I'm only showing you once because you really don't need to watch me do the same thing over and over again, especially with just stamping. So for the coloring, I am not coloring these one by one. I'm going to do a quick technique of pouncing on ink. It's as simple as that, and I go through all the leaves and add yellow, and I go through them again adding green. And because it's just not one color, it adds the dimension that I want from it. It's not particularly difficult to do this because it doesn't even require ink blending. At first I was gonna kind of ink blend it, but then I was like, you know what, you don't need to. These images are so small and detailed that it's just not necessary. So if you follow me, I love coloring florals. I do it all the time. I love the detail that's added by using Copic markers. I even no line color with florals, which even require more detail to it because there is no black outline. For these, if I wanted to, I could definitely color them with a ton of dimension, but this is a 4x6 stamp set, and there's 6 florals on here. There's 3 different flowers, 2 of each, and that size is just too small and has so many details. And I really came into this project just wanting quick cards. And this was the easiest way that I could think of to apply color and make something really, really pretty. And that's what I did. So the same concept with the leaves I did with the flowers, where I am just pouncing on color. I do have a color scheme for each of the florals, so I'm not just going in and adding color like a crazy mad woman and hoping that it all works together. I do have a plan, and I separate all the flowers into their particular groups and use the same color scheme for each of them. So for the first set of flowers, it's purple, blue, and red. For the roses, it's red, orange, and yellow. And for these last flowers, I think they're poppies or peonies, I am using red, orange, yellow, and blue. So there is some reasoning behind this, and I'm just adding color to the florals. So these inks are the Atelier inks, and they're really good for ink blending, but I'm not doing any of that. I just really wanted to pick colors that were simple and I didn't have to think about it. When I look at my distress inks, I have a lot of them, and there's just so many different variations, so I just went with classic, and these colors are the only colors that I use and have because this is it. And it kind of helps me contain myself and not to go too crazy with the colors because there are so many distress inks that I just wanted it to be simple. So I do plan this out in my head a bit before I had really come and started on the project. And for the first card, I'm going to do a circle frame of roses. For the second, I want a strip of black cardstock to be right in the middle, and the flowers kind of on the top and the bottom of it, and the sentiment will go right in the middle of that piece of black cardstock. For the third one, I had an idea in my head. It didn't work out, and I ended up with something very cool too. So a lot of my floral arrangements, I like to decorate the corners of the card, which these flowers are large enough to do so, and I did. I originally had intended it to stand up, portrait style, and I ended up changing it to landscape because that's just what worked better for the sentiment that I used. I used the same sentiment for all 3 cards, and they're all heat embossed on black cardstock and added to the card. So there's not that much of a difference between the three cards. It's not super unique from each other, but they are cohesive in the sense that they were used in the same way. They were colored in the same way, and the sentiment's the same, and it comes together as a card set. So I've been really into making cards multiples at a time. And I've been looking at a ton of card drives and people that I want to send it to. And I think that most of my cards that I've been making in the past few months is going to probably a senior home. And I just want them to feel happy when they see these cards. And I know that because of COVID, a lot of people aren't being able to visit each other. And I know that a lot of the world has kind of gone back to normal, but I don't feel like it has. I feel like I'm still staying inside. I'm not going out to a lot of public spaces where there's a lot of people. And I think people are starting to forget. And it's kind of scary because I'm watching the numbers go up and all that. And I know that there's a lot of opinions on it, but this is just my opinion. And I've been staying inside. I've been working from home since March, and my company doesn't plan to go back until at least September. And even then, I'm very skeptical about it. I think that we're probably not going back this year. I don't see a situation where we'll be back inside the office until maybe mid-year next year. And that's just being realistic, I think, especially because at my work we have an open floor plan, and so it's kind of hard to kind of go into your own space because we don't have that. So we sit right next to each other. There's no barriers or anything like that, and so the idea of going into work with that many people around me is just probably not feasible to do until there's a vaccine or it's more under control. And it just doesn't seem like it is. And I think people have forgotten, which kind of frustrates me. But you know what? I'm inside, so it doesn't really matter. I think the other side effect of being at home all the time, and along with everything else that's going on in the world, I've kind of taken a break from my creative juices. I normally commute, and it takes me about an hour in the morning and an hour coming back home. And in that time, I usually decompress and I kind of go through my social media and I think about ideas for my card making when I get home because that's usually the way that I relax. And because I'm working from home, I'm not able to really do that. And I'm kind of losing that time where I'm just kind of thinking and really coming up with ideas. So I've been a little stuck for the past few weeks and it's been very difficult. I'm still making cards because I'm on a few design teams and I have to, and some of them I love, some of them aren't my favorite, but I really want to get back into video making too. And if you've been following me on the channel for a while, in 2018, I had a New Year's resolution where I would make a video a week. And that was really hard for me because I work full time and I'm really close to my family. So we have a lot of family gatherings, and I also have my social life. And so that was a big challenge for me, and I was able to accomplish it, and I was super proud of myself. Except in 2019, I just went on a complete hiatus because I was so burnt out. I didn't make a video for maybe 6 months, and that was insane to me because I wanted it to be consistent. And I thought that by getting into the flow of making a video every week, that it would just continue. And instead, it became a point where I just was burnt out and I didn't want to make any more videos. And so I'm beginning to get back into it. I'm really enjoying the cards that I'm making videos for. I've learned just to turn on the camera and let it record my process. And if I like it, I'll edit it down and create a video for it. And if I don't, or I forget to turn on the camera at some point, then I'll just move on. So I'm not being so hard on myself for creating videos. I have no obligation to do so. I just think it's kind of fun, and I think it's fun to look back at the ideas I had. And so I wanted to ask if you guys had any ideas that you would like to see for videos. I was thinking about creating a Christmas series starting next month in July because I have a ton of Christmas sets that I never end up using and I always buy more, especially because they're so cute and they're fun and there's sales around that time. So I tend to end up with a lot of Christmas sets. So that's one of my ideas. Another idea is to pick a card or pick a stamp set and see the different ways and different types of cards that I can create with it. Just so there's a ton of ideas out there for a person that can't afford or can't buy that many stamp sets and being able to utilize it in more than one way. So that's another idea I had. I also wanted to go back to my interactive cards. I love making them. I've kind of taken a hiatus from them because there's so many companies coming out with dies to create all these cards, and I think that there's a little bit of a burnout for me with interactive cards because I'm seeing them everywhere. It's not as special and it's not as much of a surprise to create them. And so I haven't been making them as often. So I kind of want to get back to that as well. And so if you have any ideas, please leave them down below. Anything you want to see, any stamp sets that you would like me to show and use, or any techniques that you might want to see. I know there's a ton of card makers out there that you can watch as well, but if there's anything that you want to see from me, please let me know and I definitely will add it to a list. I have a list going right now of all my ideas and hopefully I can put them into a video so you guys can watch. So for these cards, as you can see, I spent a lot of time organizing them, placing them, and adhering them, and trying to figure out what I was going to do with them. But all three of them are kind of the same in a sense. They have a floral arrangement. I add a heat embossed sentiment, and for the finishing touches, I ended up matting a few. One of my favorite things is to matte on black cardstock, so it has that cohesiveness to the black cardstock with the sentiment on it, and everything flows. You'll see that I do this all the time, and I probably should change to a different color, but can't help it. I just really like black generally in my life. I wear a lot of black. So I love using black on my cards. So yeah, these cards are just really fun and they're easy to make, and I think that they'll be really good to send off to like senior centers or even just friends that you want to send a little bit of happy mail to. So I hope you enjoyed all three of these cards. I know that the technique was very simple and it didn't really need too much explanation, and I hope you're okay with me rambling a bit. I just wanted to get your ideas. So remember to leave them down below, and I will be back with more videos, hopefully, and I will be hoping to take your ideas into consideration as well. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day. Bye.